All right. So, this is my Mandalorian season 3, episode 1 review. So, it starts off with the armorer making what turns out to be a helmet and walking to a procession, which turns out it's the ceremony creating a new Mandalorian. And there's a little boy at the end. So, as that's happening, a sea monster attacks, and all the Mandalorians, they're pushing the children away, shooing the children away. So I don't know if this was a ceremony for more than one child, and we just saw the one child, or if they um just were there to support their friend. But so they're trying to fight this sea monster. The boy who just became a Mandalorian wants to help, and Par Vizsla, I think his name's Tar Vizsla or whatever. No wait, that was the ancestor. Well, one of the Vizslas. Um, shoot him away and tried to take on the monster. They're all trying and failing to defeat the monster until you see a Naboo fighter come in, and it's Din Djarin along with Grogu. And prior to this point, I thought that maybe this was a flashback to when Din became a Mandalorian, but no, it wasn't. So he then goes to see the armor. I just loved how Grogu just popped out. But so they go to see the armor. The armor reminds them, and this was a rather awkward summary of what happened at the Book of Boba Fett and how we got to this point that Din had to go bathe in the living waters because he took his helmet off. And so he shows, and then she's like, "Oh, but the whole planet's been destroyed. There are no living waters anymore." Wait, you gave him an assignment to go bathe in the living waters, which you knew were destroyed. What? Why bother telling him this if you're telling him, well, you can't actually do that? I'm really starting to dislike the armor. But, so Din gives her this crystal, and she's like, yeah, this is proof that the whole planet has been crystallized. But there's no poison because the Jawas, he got it from the Jawas, who got it from a traveler who was on planet, so it couldn't be poisonous. But he says that he's going to see her again and goes his merry way. Okay, fine. So he flies off to Navarro and he meets up with Grief Karga, who's happy to see him and says that, he's trying to sell Din on the idea of retiring to Navarro and raising Grogu and how great his life could be. And oh yes, we need a marshal because our last one went to the special forces. So now we know what happened with Cara Dune. They didn't kill her off, but I would be shocked if they ever brought her back. Because I doubt they're going to want to recast, because this character was created just for Gina Carano. and there is no way in hell she's coming back. She'd have to do some major mea culpa in order to come back. Not because of whatever Disney execs feel like, but she said transphobic stuff. And Pedro Pascal's sister is trans. So, yeah, I don't think he would much want to work with her, even though he claimed at the time that they were still friends. I find that hard to believe. Because if somebody went up to me and was dissing my siblings simply because they exist, yeah, I wouldn't want to be around them. But anyway, so now we know what happened with Cara Dune. And so he's trying to get Din to stay. And Din is like, yeah, I kind of want to become a Mandalorian again. And, I have to do this. I have to do this thing. And while he's explaining, baby Grogu is having the time of his life, spinning in the chair and taking candy, using the Force for both. So they talk again. Greep Karga tries to convince him about there's this plot of land, and I if I were Din, I would say maybe after I become a Mandalorian again, maybe I would do that, but not now. But and then he's talking about the child, and he Din explains that his name is Grogu. And but then when he comes back in, he refers to him as the critter. And I mean, I know he probably meant it in a loving way, but you were just told that the critter has a name. So now, because Din calls him Kid, which which at least at the end of season 2 disappointed Grogu terribly, because he loved it when he used his name, but at the same time that's kind of a term of endearment, so I'll let it slide. But critter? So as they're talking, his service droid, who also forgets to call him, oh shoot, what is his title? It just slipped my mind. Um, but anyway, he gets the title wrong. And it's like, you'd think the droid would get that right, but okay. But anyway, so apparently pirates are walking the streets. So Grief Karga goes to confront them. And of course, Din is right there, because of course he is. And but we don't know if they left Grogu. I assume they left Grogu in Karga's office, because I did not see him. Because I would have thought that he would have done something, because he's that kind of a kid. So, yeah, the whole episode I was waiting for Grogu to do something. But except for using the Force to play and take candy, nothing. But he's still a baby, so I'll give it a pass. But so the pirates keep insisting that even though they were told that that building that they thought was a bar is now a school, they still wanted to go get a drink in that building. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you being obstinate on purpose? And probably the answer is yes. Though I question his intelligence, but... So they duel. And they have a standoff, and of course, Greek Karga wins. Because despite him being more respectable, he can still kick ass. And so after that happens, it seemed like the other pirates that were with him were about to answer. Maybe, draw weapons or something, and Din just mows them down, which didn't sit well with the pirate at all. But it's like, well. So then they go to, Din tells Karga that he needs the IG droid because he's going to Mandalore. And he needs a droid. And I assume that in the off chance that Mandalore is still poisonous, the droid could find that out without dying. Whereas, obviously, anybody else would not be able to do that. So, but for some reason, when they took down the statue, which Grogu was just staring at it lovingly because, it's a friend. But they didn't take the legs. They just took the torso up. And why didn't you take the legs? I mean, I assume it's because that way he would fit in the pod that Grogu usually rides in. So maybe that's why. But I just found it weird that they didn't take the legs. So Din figures out how to put him back together and bring him back to life. And he reverts to his original programming, which is to kill Grogu. So Din tries to stop him, and he's holding on to Grogu. And again, I'm waiting for Grogu to do something because, come on. He knows enough Jedi tricks to deal with a runaway droid. But the IG unit grabs onto Din, and so Din tosses Grogu to Greef Karga, which I just found hilarious. It's like, let's play hot potato. So, or I was expecting Grogu to make happy noises. It's like, hey! But no. But yeah, he was pretty talkative in this episode. So, and by talkative, I mean baby noises. So maybe sooner rather than later we'll actually hear him speak. But, even though I'm not sure I'd want him to. I kind of like him just being a baby. But anyway. So, the service droid pushes a bust, which is of Greef Karga, which, really? You don't strike me as the kind of guy who would have a bust of yourself. But anyway, onto the droid killing it. And, of course, then Din had to say a real groaner of a joke. That's using your head. Ugh. So anyway, now it's trying to figure out how to fix the IG unit. And so Greef Karga comes up with an idea. I think they're called Azurians? Anyway, so they're real little guys, which I'm not familiar with them. I've seen members of that species in trailers, but I'm not that familiar. So, or if I did see them, I don't remember. So, I don't know how Din got into that little cubbyhole, Grogu, I could see, even though he was absolutely huge in that space, but I could see him getting in there. But how the hell did Din get there? Because Great Karga was translating what they were saying to Din from the other side of the wall. So, but apparently the memory chip is shot and it's hard to come by. But if they found a new memory chip, then he could probably resurrect the IG unit. So so then it ends with Grogu grabbing one of them. And Din's like, it's not a doll, let it go. Oh, Grogu. Gotta do something. And so they get ready to leave, and Grief Karga is like, well, if they don't know where to find a memory chip, where are you gonna find it? And I figured that he's gonna go to Tatooine and look for Peli. And so that was my assumption, that he was gonna go to Tatooine. But so he gets into space, and Grogu is in his little pod, and they go into, well, before he goes into his little pod, he's with Din, and the pirates find him. And Din is teaching Grogu, that if you have to always know where you are at all times, because then you'll never be lost, and what the different gauges mean. And then the pirates come, and they're waiting for him. Now, I'm trying to remember if this was before or after. I think this was after Grogu was in the pod, and was after Grogu was in the pod and saw the space whales. So the pirates come, and there's an asteroid battle. Now, since they were in hyperspace, how the hell did the pirates find them? But anyway, so they have a space battle. They go through asteroids. He destroys all the pirates, and then he comes across Shard's ship. And Shard basically says, give up your ship and we'll let you live. And he looks at Grogu and says, never trust a pirate, and goes into hyperspace again. And so then he goes to Kalabala, I believe is the planet's name, and Bo-Katan, which actually surprised me. I was not expecting this. Number one, I thought that he was going to visit Peli, so I thought it odd that he's first going to see Bo-Katan, since she's none too pleased with him because he's got the Darksaber and she wants it. But he meets her in a palace and in a castle, and he's explaining all of this to Grogu. And she seems so bitter. Now, it's been 2 years since, Grogu had been with Luke for 2 years. So it's been 2 years since the end of season 2. So, and she explained that without the Darksaber, all her followers left, and so she's all by her lonesome. Now, if that's the case, why is she just sitting on her throne? I would think that she would find something more useful to do. But anyway, so she explains to Din that that even before the purge, the Mandalorians were split. They weren't united, and that's how come they got defeated, because of the Death Watch Mandalorians. So, and she tells him where to find the living waters, and which I guess he became a Mandalorian after the purge, after Mandalore was destroyed, because why else would you have to tell him these things, like where it is, or say where the hell were you when all this shit was going down? But so she sees him off, tells him to go home, and that the living waters, that the mines are a thing, but everything else is superstition. And so Din leaves, and maybe next episode he goes to visit Pelly, because I can't imagine where else he would go to get a memory chip or a new droid. One of the two, because maybe he also trusts Pelly's droids. Maybe that would be a good substitute, but because let's face it, he doesn't like droids. We all know this. He doesn't like droids. So I'm assuming next episode he's going to go to Tatooine. Now, whether he's just going to visit Pelly or if he's going to visit other characters we've seen before, who knows? But yeah, I'm pretty sure next episode he's gonna go to Tatooine. So with that, I think I've covered this episode thoroughly, and I will see you guys next time.